Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 12 of History's Greatest Idiots, the show where we take you back through all of human history and give you examples of absolute, outrageous, incredible stupidity so that you can take lessons from other people's colossal mistakes and never repeat those mistakes again. But who are we kidding? We're humans. We love making mistakes, and they make for good material. Joining me as ever is my amazing co-host, Derek. Derek, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man.
You had a good couple
of
weeks.
Refreshing, relaxing time away.
That's good.
For me.
Me too. Yeah. For both of us, I think. I had a nice long holiday on Anglesey where I was house and dog sitting. Great place to house and dog sit. It's a massive house, massive grounds, and you're only half a mile from the nearest beach, and then there's 15 other beaches within 20 minutes of the house, and it's great food.
Nice.
And yeah, it was warm but not too warm. Oh, it was so cool, man. I felt so good. I didn't want to come back.
I wouldn't either. I would not either.
Yeah. What about you? How have you been the last couple of weeks?
Just relaxing and hanging out, and good. I was kind of gonna try and edit up some fun stuff for people with our show, and I noticed, that intro where our little guy dances back and forth and his eyes are all over the place. Every time I watch a video of us, I notice I've got eyes off wandering one way, this way, or that. So
don't worry, I do too.
I relate to him.
I do too. Okay, so 24 years ago, I wrestled. Professional wrestling. So we had to produce a lot of video content for the degree I was on at the time, and so we decided to do a wrestling thing because enough of us in that college course were into wrestling. There was 20 of us there, 15 of us were into wrestling, so we did that. And one time I did a flare flop where you fall over and you pretend that you're really hurt, and the guy I was landing on, who's still my best friend to this day, actually lifted his knee. And my head collided with his knee, and it almost fractured my skull. And I got a massive concussion, massive Rocky black eye. This whole thing shut. And he grabbed me in a headlock. And he went, "Holy shit, you okay?" And I went, "Am I bleeding?" And he went, "No, is the bone showing?" "No." "Then we'll carry on." And I shouldn't have done, because I went to sleep with a concussion that night, which is something that you are definitely not supposed to do.
Yeah, I guess that could be dangerous, huh?
So dangerous. I was fucked up for weeks after that. I don't know if I had post-concussion syndrome or what, but I've had enough of them at this point that it's not going to make any difference. So, yeah, I've about 6 concussions. Rugby is a terrible game. So, yeah, I have fucked up eyes after that as well. One of them doesn't focus properly in bright light, and the whole shape of my eyes changed as a result. It was quite an injury.
That is intense, man.
Yeah, I know. And I had a lot of fun doing it, but that was a horrible fucking injury. So, ironically, not the worst one I had. That would be a torn Achilles tendon. That was a horrible injury.
That story makes me cringy.
Oh yeah,
just the thought of that.
Yeah, I heard it as well. That's the worst part.
That part.
So yeah. Before we get going, I want to. So 2 things I want to talk to everyone about our socials. So if you would like to follow us on Twitter, go to @GreatestIdiots, and if you'd like to follow us on Instagram, go to @HistorysGreatestIdiots, and if you'd like to become a Patreon member, go to patreon.com/historysgreatestidiots. However, you will no longer be the first Patreon, because we have our first ever Patreon. I want to say a massive thank you to Jesse Christ, who is our first ever Patreon. He's pledged at the Gregor McGregor militant Patreon level. So
nice.
he's gone in at the mid-tier. Thank you, Jesse. You can always sell any dream to me. Thank you so much. I went with that awful song. Just paint a picture about how it's gonna be. That's gonna age me so fucking about early 90s. The cheesy middle of the road music. So Jesse, thank you so much. He's already had a couple of posts, seen video and pictures from my holiday. Not that you probably wanted to, but and a bunch of scripts from episode 1, and he's had his exclusive image sent over as part of it. It's not an NFT. We're not quite at that level yet.
I don't even know what those are.
They're basically cons.
Okay.
That's it. That's all you need to know. It's a way of making money by ripping off your fans. We're not going to do that. So, basically, yes, thank you so much, Jesse. Thank you for being our first ever Patreon. If you guys would like to be a Patreon, you get a free gift when you sign up. So please go to History's Greatest Idiots. That's on Patreon. So patreon.com/History's Greatest Idiots. Derek, please continue. You had something you wanted to talk about or show us or something. So I'm happy for you to do that.
Oh no, that comes in the middle.
Here. Oh, a little later. That's a little later thing. Okay, yeah, we talked about that.
Special thing for you guys.
Oh, special surprise. I also wanted to talk as well, like today, because I was really hot in the UK, but I don't know if you guys remember last summer. Like I was barely hanging on. It was like 40 degrees.
Melting.
It was great. I was melting, literally human melt. And so this year it's been not quite so bad, but the timing of the hot weather couldn't be worse because our dog has just come into season. So yeah, so she's at the stage where she can't go outside, like go for walks. Well, she can go outside in the garden, but she can't go for walks because boy dogs are like
right.
So we're currently dog sitting again, and we thought, well, we can't just like leave them in the house. This is crazy. So we went and hired a private dog walking field. 2 acres. It's got a bunch of enriching like things they can climb and play on, and it's like fenced in on both sides, so it's just you park your car in and you've got like 2 acres to walk around in, and it was like £6 for an hour, so it was quite cheap. But in the neighboring field through the kind of the semi-shuttered fence were 2 British bulldogs who could smell Margot, and they were just hanging around the fence going, "You all right, love? Oh, fucking hell." Oh. And that was happening the entire hour we were there. They were like, "Oh, do you want to come over here? I'll buy you a drink and show you a good time." So yeah, it was really weird. I mean, these 2 bulldogs like follow us along the fence line the whole time. It was really disturbing.
That would be my afternoon. That'd be a ridiculously looking puppy. That'd be a goofy looking puppy.
Imagine a dachshund and a fucking bulldog. That thing would not be able to breathe normally at all. Jesus.
Probably not.
No. So yeah, that's my thing. So we've had like quite a long break for our live stream viewers. We've got a bunch of slides to show you, and if you do want to view this after the fact, you can actually watch the videos of the streams on Spotify. Spotify now do video streams, and also we do have a bunch of all of our video streams on the YouTube channel. So if you just go to YouTube and type in History's Greatest Idiots, you can find us on there. And yeah, we're going to have a bunch of slides and a video to show you as well. So that's going to be really interesting. So Derek, I guess we should get to it. Who is your idiot for this week?
Okay. Well, I've said it before. You've probably noticed that almost every truly horrible and awful thing that's happened in the world has started with some sort of good, righteous beginning.
Yeah, usually, unfortunately.
In this case, the noble cause was healthcare, and it went off the rails when this doctor decided the best way to make developments in healthcare was through human experimentation.
Oh, that's okay.
On prisoners, probably without their consent.
Yeah, exactly.
Without their consent. Yeah. He was born Leonidas Stanley in 1886 in Polk County, Oregon, to a humble country doctor.
Okay.
The family uprooted and moved to San Luis Obispo County in California when he was around 9 years old. And from what I can tell, he just had a pretty standard upper middle class American life for the time.
Yeah, nothing too dramatic. Probably the odd beating here and there, but you know, it was a different time, maybe.
He graduated from Paso Robles High School and took his studies to Stanford University after that.
Ooh, wow. Big name right there.
He only went there for a year, though, because he was flat broke and he dropped out.
Oh, not good. No, he couldn't get a job working in the union or serving bars.
He had a solution to his money problems, and that was to take work as a newsboy on the Southern Pacific Railway.
What's a newsboy? Is that someone who just like hands out papers, or
yeah, you sell the paper? And honestly, I had no idea, and I had to look it up because I thought newsboy sounded really cool. And
newsboy.
They even had a cooler nickname for it, though.
Oh yeah, what was that?
A newsboy was also a peanut butcher.
What the fuck?
I have no idea, but if we're making up slang nicknames for jobs, I want to be the mystic money man that does history things.
Oh yeah. We'll definitely take that. We'll take that. Thank you.
So he's working as a newsboy on the Southern Pacific Railway, which again only lasted a year. But he was quoted as saying that he believed that 1 year as a peanut butcher was better than a hole at Stanford. He learned to know people, and he learned to merchandise and to sell. And anyway, after that, he goes back to Stanford and finishes school in 1908.
Okay. Right. Okay.
He heads off to the Cooper Medical College in San Francisco, where he studies to become a medical doctor. While he's at that school, he meets and falls in love with a beautiful young secretary at the school named Romaine. And
named after some lettuce.
Yeah, exactly. I'm hoping I'm saying it right because it looks like lettuce.
It does. Sorry, please continue.
A month before his graduation from medical school, he marries Romaine, and they didn't have any money, as you would imagine.
Well,
They didn't have much money. A secretary and a med school student. No, he was working at an intern at the time, which covered room and board, but really no additional money. So he knew he had to get established and make some money for his young family. So when he saw that San Quentin Prison was looking for an assistant to their surgeon, paying $75 a month, he jumped at it.
That's a lot of money back then.
Oh, yeah. And
that's a hell of a lot of money.
He tried for that position, and they hired him. But for something different.
Okay.
They hired him to be their chief surgeon.
Oh, that's not what he went for at all. Holy shit.
At the time, he had no surgical experience, which...
That's a red
but I
flag.
mean, would you take that if you had no experience?
Not for surgery. Fuck no. Because, like, I mean, I guess, like...
Here's the thing, prisoners.
Like,
Sorry.
There's no. It's just like I just wonder how much, because like if you fail as a doctor now, and it's different in the UK and America. We have people get struck off, like the prick who made up all of that bullshit about the triple vaccine that like Jenny McCarthy and Jim Carrey were saying, oh, it causes autism, but actually he just made that bullshit up based on nothing.
Fully.
Yeah, and then he was struck off, which is what it's called in this country when you're banned from being a doctor. And then he just moved over to America and made a shitload of money spouting bullshit over on your side of the pond. But yeah, I guess you guys have similar things over there where obviously doctors end up in prison sometimes, or they get kicked out of the profession. But 1908, it might have been very different back then.
It most certainly was. I mean, they hired him to be their chief surgeon with no surgical experience, and I think they knew crazy. It. So.
And it's a big institution, San Quentin, even back then. My God.
It was. And to be fair, I'm going to tell you some horrible things about this guy, but he wasn't all that bad. And it's not like the kitschy Nazi thing to say about like Hitler,
Sure, yeah.
This guy actually did good things.
Okay.
Besides the horrible things that he did, and we'll talk about all of that. For most of the first half of the 20th centuries, he looked for ways to make improvements in modernizing the medical department at the prison.
Okay, that's good.
His wife contracted tuberculosis shortly after they arrived at the hospital, which led to him going for like an open air, wider, better ventilated, more hygienic.
Sure.
Gosh, I can't even. I had it right here and I lost it.
Like antiseptic, disinfected environment kind of thing.
Yeah, we'll get to it when I get to it, I guess. I jumped way ahead because I'm scatterbrained and that's what I do. Anyway, so he's the chief surgeon. His wife has tuberculosis shortly after they arrive. She's sick. He's dealing with that and starts focusing on some of the things as a personal matter.
Okay.
Around the same time when he gets there, it's the early 1900s. California has passed the first of several eugenics-driven laws that allow for the forced sterilization of inmates and mental hospital patients.
I wondered if this was going to come up, the eugenics thing, because this was a big fucking topic around this time, and everyone was on board. But then, of course, like 20, 30 years later, you got the Nazis coming up with the final solution, and shit. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, and this guy was a firm believer in eugenics.
Of course he was.
Like, he totally was. He was on board for it, and he even said that he believed 20% of inmates were feeble-minded,
Ugh.
and he started sterilizing as many of them as he could. And I say as many of them as he could because there was a legal bag limit on how many inmates you could sterilize.
Oh, really? I love that the state believed in it, but they're like, look, don't go crazy. All right,
Yeah,
you can do some.
we're not monsters here.
No, I don't need to sterilize some people.
Right. And as a result, he started encouraging voluntary sterilization.
What? How do you what do you offer for someone to take voluntary sterilization? Like, you get time off or a bit of money. Like, what could you possibly do to get someone to do that?
Oh, he said it was going to be good for him. We'll get to it in a minute.
Oh,
So he's tricking folks into voluntarily getting sterilized because he believed it was going to stamp out crime.
No.
He also believed that the right to bear children would eventually be reserved for only the fit. So
the fit.
That's the people that are pure and
the
good and not
people.
Yeah. And he targeted groups for sterilization, like homosexual, bisexual inmates, the ones that he believed were feeble-minded as well. And one example, a man named Nelson was imprisoned for forging a $5 check.
What?
And
I mean, I guess that's a fair bit of money, but still.
Back then it was, but it's still not for what he said. Dr. Stanley said that this prisoner was the typical prison malingerer who was a perfect specimen for any proponent of euthanasia or painless elimination of the socially unfit because of the crime that he committed.
Just forged a fucking check, mate. Jesus.
Yeah, he wants to kill him.
I know. It's crazy. Yeah. And not just like, oh no, I'm not a monster. I'm not going to hang him or put him in the electric chair. I'm just going to have him euthanized.
Painless elimination.
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Anyway, so that sort of stuff is really horrific. And I feel like we should have gotten better as a collective here in the United States. But like the other day, I came across this little rant by Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida.
Awful piece of shit. Go for it.
Yeah, he's talking on the subject of mental illness and what needs to be done about it. And it falls right in line with this. I know it's unrelated and I'm probably just poking at things, but he's in line with Dr. Leo Stanley, and this guy is in charge of things. He's in a position of power that people look up to. And he says this about the mentally ill.
Okay, we're about to watch a video. So just so you know, Derek, I can't actually hear this.
No. Is it not sharing it? We're just sitting here quietly.
I can see it and I can see you, but I can't hear it.
Oh, no.
So I have a suspicion.
Now I'm confused.
I know.
It said to share the audio. Maybe I shouldn't share the audio. Anyway.
That's weird. Anyway.
Wow.
So Matt Gaetz, who doesn't actually mind being poked as long as it's by a high school girl.
That's right. Well, what he rants on, and he legitimately says, like outright, we need to reopen the asylums.
Okay.
Because there are dangerous people out there that are mentally unstable. If you're on SSRIs, you could be caused to go out and mass shoot. And he talks about how these dangerous people are out here allowed to wander among the rest of us.
Yeah, how dare they have freedom in America? Fuck's sake,
it just tripped me out because it's like, holy crap, he's saying the same stuff that Dr. Stanley said in the 1900s, and it's 2023.
I know. The thing is, we're aware of this stuff because we're aware of history and we remember stuff that we've been taught, we study it, stuff like that. But there are people out there, probably Matt Gaetz, I'd imagine he doesn't have time to learn history because he's too busy trying to, meet high schoolers. But
probably,
yeah. But this is like the latest in a long line of awful, horrible bullshit from people like him. And we should have done away with fascists in America a long time ago, but they are still hanging around. Him, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Milo, the Donald, the other fucker from Florida.
Super bummed that didn't play. Can I try it one more time? I'm gonna just
go for
play
it. Go for it, man. Yeah, go for it. I really wish this worked.
Is it working?
No.
Anything?
No, it's all silent, man. That's really annoying. I know I'm like this with StreamYard. Why can't you fix your audio, for God's sake? Yeah, we should be able to show media. I guess it's copyright stuff. But yeah, anyway, just imagine Mike guys ranting about opening the silence. The ironic thing is that I actually do think that opening more mental health institutions and places where people can get treatment would be far better for the prison population, because there are a number of people in the prison population in America and in the UK and in other countries that actually really need mental health help, and they're not getting it because there's no space.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that yes, we need to open up mental health facilities and counselors and access to that.
Yeah.
Maybe not asylums, because the asylums here weren't such good things.
No, no asylum was really that good. It was just sort of a place where people got lost, basically.
So, yeah, it was kind of a sick place.
Yeah. So fuck that, guys.
Anyway, so Dr. Stanley works in a place that's just like where he wants to send people, and he takes this position at San Quentin, and he believes that the diseases were the cause of crime. In particular, he believes that endocrine diseases were the culprit, and he wrote in a memoir that perhaps the outworn glands look for solace in strange directions, meaning that when you get old, your nuts shrivel up and you do dumb things and go bad, I guess.
Okay. Does he also think that women suffer from hysteria and should be slapped as a form of treatment to keep them quiet?
I'm sure. I didn't get into it. I didn't go that direction. But his stance led to his strong support of what was probably the most horrific thing about him, which was his implementation of testicle grafting.
Oh, what? Oh, no.
It's a surgery based on the now debunked theory that testicular implants or transplants could cause a male rejuvenation and age reversal.
What the fuck? Leave your balls alone, man.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Jesus.
Sigmund Freud had it done, testicular grafting. It was all the rage in the 1900s, but
of course he did.
That's why you're not supposed to say and do things like they did in the 1900s in modern day. Anyway,
kind of like we've moved on.
Right? So
supposedly.
He is encouraging his interns to perform these experiments on inmates and these testicular graftings, and he's explaining that the patients this way could be under daily observation, and the follow-up conditions are ideal.
Okay.
That led to his staff performing grafting experiments on prisoners and transplanting testicles from executed prisoners into other inmates. And I know what you're thinking. What did they do when there were no executed inmates to use the nuts of?
This is going to get dark, isn't it? I can see it now.
Yeah. He would use animal testicles from goats or boars or rams or deer.
Oh my God. That's so fucking dangerous.
Yeah. And you would think that couldn't possibly work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't. It fucking totally doesn't work, and it has all kinds of complications. And so he decided he would use another method.
Okay.
And I got to tell you right now, this one's even worse. And so if you get like a little blue in the gills by what we just talked about, you're going to want to skip like 10 seconds or so.
Yeah.
So when the outright transplants weren't working, he started a less invasive method. Okay. It was a 2-part process where he would take these donor testicles from an executed inmate or some random animal from the forest out back, and he would just mash them up into a paste, and then he would put them in a syringe, and he would inject the mixture directly into the recipient's abdomen.
Oh, why the abdomen?
I don't know.
What the fuck?
I don't know. I don't know how it was supposed to work.
Oh, man. He is absolutely completely gone at this point, right?
Yeah, and here's another part. He never even really asked the death row inmates for permission to use the ones that he was using in the first place, and he actually got sued.
Good.
But won.
At the early 19th century, someone actually sued this guy. That tells you just how bad he is.
Yeah.
Like, nobody sued anyone for medical shit back then.
And
My God.
He's running around doing these experimentations and sterilizations and testicular grafting, which he believed for real that it would cure things like pedophilia, depression, asthma, acne. Dude,
what the fuck?
Acne and melancholia, which I think is the same thing as depression, right?
Yeah, that's such a weird, unrelated series of things. Like, you ain't curing none of that by fucking around with people's balls. I'm sorry. No. Like, oh my God, that's so crazy. What the fuck?
Yeah, but by
I'm kind of lost for words with this guy.
Well, by 1919, he was recognized by the United Press Dispatch as an international figure in the surgical world through his successful operations in rejuvenating old and senile prisoners by transplanting the glands of murderers who have paid the law's penalty. That was in the papers about him.
Oh my God.
Another experiment that he liked to conduct was removing the thyroid for inmates that behaved poorly, because that makes sense. He thought that murderers had overdeveloped thyroids and that forgers, like the dude that he thought should be euthanized, had underdeveloped pituitary glands.
This is beginning to sound like phrenology at this point. He's like measuring people's heads and like, oh yeah, of course you were going to be a criminal. You got like this part of your fucking head's weird and stuff like that. Like, it doesn't work. For those people listening, we're now currently displaying pictures of the prison he worked at, which the main building actually looks quite nice, and then his picture, and it makes him look like the star of an Ed Wood film. He looks really fucking disturbing, to be honest. He looks like a psychopath in this picture, and
a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. He's got like a small crop of graying hair and like the most prominent black eyebrows and just completely clean shaven. He's like an elderly Norman Bates. It's really fucking disturbing. I'm going to move to the next slide as well, where he looks like a very weird cowboy.
To me, if you've seen Cool Hand Luke, he reminds me of the warden and the overseer at the prison where Paul Newman was.
That's right. Yeah.
Failure to communicate.
Exactly. He looks kind of feeble as well, like unbelievably thin. And
super rail thin.
Yeah, rail thin, wiry, weird. He's got like virtually no chin. There's like a whole mess of insecurities going on here, a bit like with Sigmund Freud and his like, oh yes, I loved my mother once, therefore every man loves his mother at some point. And yeah, it's weird. He looks terrifying, and oh my God, this just seems to keep getting worse.
I feel like he might look like a young Mr. Burns.
Little bit, yeah. Holy shit! Let me go back to that. Yeah, there's a bit of Burns in there. Although Burns is famously based on John Rockefeller, which is kind of ironic because I've done impressions of him on the podcast and in real life multiple times. So yeah, wow. I don't really know. He looks disturbing and he keeps getting worse. I'm sure there's more to come. So please keep going.
Let's see, where was I? He was pulling out thyroids for people that were bad behaviors. And then at the same time, he started experimenting with the idea that vasectomies would bolster sexual performance.
No.
That's my secret. Most reporting of the time praised his efforts, and in particular, the presence of professional medical staff meant that San Quentin was more sophisticated in their medical treatments than any of the other United States prisons at the time.
Did anybody, all these people praising him and all the press going on about it, did any of them decide to approach inmates and talk to them about like permission and
why would
human rights violations and shit? I guess human rights weren't a thing, but I mean, Jesus, this guy is doing whatever the fuck he wants with whoever the hell he wants for whatever reason he can make up on the spot. It's borderline evil. I mean, it probably is evil because he doesn't seem to be displaying, like, he's not a surgeon and yet he's just tinkering.
Yeah, he got all of his surgical experience by just swapping out nuts all on his own.
Just so weird.
So They are praising him, though, and one prison reformer at the time, Austin McCormick, praised the San Quentin as being the best in all the state institutions in the country. So
sound like it.
I'm thinking maybe he didn't know all of the experimentation on unwilling prisoners was happening, or maybe he did. Who knows?
Who knows?
But like I said, Dr. Leo Stanley wasn't all bad because, like I said, his wife got tuberculosis and died as a result of her illness in 1926. But it was her struggles dealing with it that led him to learn as much as he possibly could about the illness. And his early efforts to stop the spread helped him to implement medical screening procedures.
Okay.
They identified 60 tuberculosis patients the first year and separated them out to hold the spread. He built open air hospitals of 4,800 square feet without bars and open sun areas and flat roofs to help the recovery or the dying, I guess you would say. Yeah. But he was the first one to implement that sort of stuff in a prison. So if you had tuberculosis, you were cool. But if you forged a check, you were fucked.
If you were an actual, like, a petty criminal, you were fucked. If you were a serious criminal, you were fucked. If you had an illness and you were any of those things, you'd be golden, right? Yeah. Basically, he's just like giving you a quite dignified death, because it doesn't sound like the treatments worked that well. But yeah, it seemed like the only way you could get treated well by this guy was to have a very specific illness.
Yep. You got to remind him of his wife.
Yeah. Oh, you look just like her now that I swapped your nuts out. Oh.
After she died, he stayed a bachelor for a dozen years or so. And he took a break from the day-to-day operations at the prison. Okay. In 1929, he decided he was going to take a temporary job on a cruise ship as a surgeon on the SS Malolo.
What the fuck is a cruise ship doing with a surgeon?
I don't know.
Why would you need surgery on a cruise ship?
He's just a doctor, I think, on the ship.
All right.
The ship surgeon. No, yeah, you're right. I don't know why. I mean, it's the 30s.
Yeah, maybe they couldn't pull into port and find a hospital. I don't know. Never mind.
I don't know. He's out there at sea for a little while being a surgeon on a ship, and then he comes back, called back to the prison in 1933.
Okay.
The warden is sick, so Dr. Stanley returns this time and serves as the warden while he recovers from his illness. Okay. When he gets better, though, he goes back to his regular job as the surgeon. In 1935, this is where he does his tricking. He puts up a poster in the prison yard extolling the virtues of surgeries like vasectomies, saying, "The simple operation prevents a man from producing children, but it does not interfere with his normal pleasures. In fact, it is claimed that sexual vigor is increased."
No. Stop now. That's fucking bullshit. This is breaking the Hippocratic Oath. I mean, he's done that a lot at this point, but he is no longer a doctor. He is now a fucking I don't even know what he's a criminal himself.
A little bit
at this point. Yeah. God damn.
But yeah, a ton of the dudes actually signed up and volunteered thinking that it was going to improve their health. But here's the thing, what makes him better, I think, in my opinion, than some people is he actually believed his bullshit, like wholeheartedly. He believed it so much that he underwent a vasectomy himself.
No.
He did.
Okay.
He also said that they claimed that they prevented STDs, which is not a thing.
That's not a thing at all. Oh,
and it supercharges your libido.
Okay.
Again, not a thing.
Also not a thing, no.
So seeing that his horrific experiments weren't really successful, he's thinking about trying something else, another theory to stem the rampant crime that's out there.
How can I play with people's balls more?
Nope. He's raised his attention a little bit, and he believes that unattractive men are more likely to commit crimes because they can't find honest work.
That's what?
Yeah, you know how you fix that? Plastic surgery.
Oh no! This is going so dark. What the fuck, man?
he wants to prevent them going out and reoffending, so he performs pinning back of large ears. He remakes broken noses. And
Okay.
actually, at his retirement, a chronicle in San Francisco praised his ability to turn plug uglies into
Oh,
facial men of distinction. And some of his work,
facial men of distinction.
some of his work was so dramatic that the warden made it a new policy to take a new mugshot of prisoners upon their release.
What the
So he
fuck,
made them
man?
purdy.
He made like I mean the pinning of the ears back. That's that's not so extreme, and the fixing the broken nose is actually probably a good thing, especially for
Maybe.
like airflow and stuff. But like fucking with people's faces, like it's as a reason to do it, like, oh yeah, it's because they're ugly that they commit crime. That is definitely not the case. There is a guy online who is famous for having his mugshot released widely across the internet, and he became so attractive to women online that he actually got a modeling contract when he got out of prison. So
is that blue-eyed guy?
there is the blue-eyed guy.
Yeah,
You know the
okay.
mugshot when you see it. You're like, holy shit,
Yeah.
this guy's incredibly good looking. And he got a modeling contract after that. Didn't stop him being a terrible human being while he was out. But yeah, I know plenty of attractive people that have committed horrific crimes. So that is not true. And it's funny. He's fucking with people's faces. He's fucking with their testicles. The one place he didn't want to go was the brain, which is where the majority of the issues are.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh.
He was kind of toying around with the idea of lobotomies at the time, which is where I came across this guy.
Okay.
I failed to dive too much into that because it was right after he was doing the plastic surgeries and the vasectomies that World War II broke out here in the U.S.
Oh, God. Was he sent to the front line? Please tell me.
No, he was called into service as a lieutenant commander in the U.S. Navy Reserve and posted to the Naval Hospital at Mare Island.
Okay.
And then he went to San Francisco Naval Officer Procurement.
Okay.
And then he went to the Pearl Harbor Naval Base.
Oh.
And then they sent him back to Treasure Island Naval Hospital right back there in the Bay Area. So that was his tour through the war.
Yeah. Not very little action there. Let's hope he didn't get anywhere near anyone's face or testicles. Because it
might have come in helpful, actually, some plastic surgery then, maybe.
I mean, well, for sure. Actually, in that situation, you have horrific injuries, and also like the amount of fucking venereal diseases in the Second World War and First World War as well. Maybe he could have been of some use, but his stuff didn't work, so I guess not. But yeah.
Well, they thought maybe it would, because if you got a vasectomy, it cures STDs or something.
Yeah, apparently.
That's not real, Spotify. Don't take our video down.
That's not true. We don't believe that, Spotify. I mean, what we joking? You pay Joe Rogan like $100 million a year to spout God knows what. So we could talk about vasectomies if we need to.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, so after the war's end, he takes a year off to acclimate himself to civilian life because he spent all those times in the foreign exotic, mostly United States bases. And the world was very different when he comes back to San Quentin.
Okay.
The prison is under the the California Department of Corrections.
Okay.
It's under their control, and they're now using therapy as a guiding model for prisoner.
Fuck.
Yeah, nationwide in light of the war with the Nazis and their war crimes. His favorite methods were kind of on the way out, thank God.
Thank God, yeah, because they're kind of similar in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep. He stayed there for a few more years before he retired in 1951 to start a private practice in San Rafael, which is just across the bridge there.
Very nice area, that.
He served there for a short time. In his final years, he went to Marin County in Martinez, California, and stayed on a farm. And over his almost 40-year career as the San Quentin doctor, he gave somewhere in the ballpark of 10,000 inmates, some fellow doctors, and occasionally a civilian, testicular gland rejuvenation procedures.
Jesus Christ.
That included the implants and the
abdomen shit.
Old strange, I don't know what to call it, nut butter injections.
So dark. Oh my God.
Yeah, at some point he underwent the rejuvenation himself, like I said. hoping perhaps that it would improve his sex life, prolong his life, because he bought his own bullshit. He thought maybe he was going to be a sexual badass, but he died in 1976 at the age of 90, childless. So maybe it worked. I don't know. But...
Well, yeah. The vasectomy
what do you think?
Sure as fuck worked.
It did. It was successful. And his plastic surgery was good.
Yeah.
As long as they said it was okay.
Yeah. It's wow. I mean, he lived a long life, but then again, he's a wiry dude. And I don't know if I'm stereotyping here, but thin guys tend to live forever. You know?
Yeah.
You don't see many, like, you go to a retirement home, and this is a joke I'm borrowing from an actor. I've forgotten his name now. Jay, not Leno, Roach. Jay Moore. Jay Moore. Thank you. Yes, Jay Moore. He was like, you go to old people's homes, you don't see like too many like really fat old people, but you see plenty of old women going, "Can I have a smoke from you, darling? Can I take a cigarette?" Because they're all still smoking. But yeah, thin guys tend to fucking live forever. It's crazy.
Yeah. I am not living very long.
Me neither. Like, I've got a spare tire right now. I mean, I'm getting that middle-aged spread. Wow.
So what do you think of Dr. Leonidas Stanley?
I mean, he's awful. There's no two ways about it. This is the interesting thing, though, is that thank God we have regulations and regulatory bodies and checks and measures and rules and structures and things like that. Because I know that, like, there are some conservatives out there in America and in both the UK that want to, like, just do away with, like, bodies and checks and regulatory and small government. Give us small government. Like, actually, no, you have small government. That's this guy. This guy goes around doing whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah.
With other people's balls without any permission or needed to get permission. And he's like, "Oh, you're an ugly fucker, man. I'm going to make you a non-criminal by pinning your ears back." And just all of that crazy shit, being completely unqualified, having nobody seem to check up on him for decades. And he is so out of control that he believes his own bullshit. The fact that it's completely unproven and untested and unscientific doesn't make any difference to him, because he believes it so much that he does it on himself and it doesn't work, and he still keeps on doing it. So that's the problem here.
Maybe there was like a placebo effect for him, and he thought maybe he was just extra horny and really good at it.
Maybe it was like he was expecting it to happen, so after he performed the procedure, it worked in his mind. So he was already prepping himself for it to be a success. So
possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really bummed out that my little clip didn't play, though.
I know. We've had this before with, like, I don't know why these streaming platforms don't let you kind of play things for everyone in the room. It just seems to be an issue. But yeah. We'll try and see if there's a way around that, folks. We'll try and share some more clips with you in the future, because I would really love to do that.
I'm gonna laugh. It's actually there, and you just couldn't hear it.
Yeah, it was just Matt Knights, like, kind of staring blankly at the screen, going, not saying anything.
That would be awesome. That's what he should do all the time.
Yeah, if only we could turn the volume down on that guy for real. This is going to be a high one, because he's performing completely unethical, unscientific, and disgusting procedures on people that can't really refuse, and that he's lying to. So in that sense, he did know what he was doing, because he knew. I mean, maybe he didn't. I don't know. He said that it would boost male performance, which, I mean, these people are in prison. The fuck? I mean, yeah, let's not go there. But
maybe they want him to be excited about getting out. It would help him rehabilitate.
Hey, darling, while I was in prison, I had a procedure done. Could you imagine that as a pickup line? Like,
yeah, I got 3 nuts now.
Yeah, and I got my ears pinned back. Look at me. I'm not going to climb anymore. I'm handsome. I got some nut butter in my tummy.
What a theory.
What a weird theory. Yeah, you're ugly, therefore you're a criminal. So yeah, I think it has to go a solid 90 with this guy.
Ooh, all right.
It would have been higher had he known that he was, like, just fucking around. Just like, yeah, this isn't going to do anything. But I've got to make myself look like I've got to pay the bills. You know, I've got to perform some surgeries. Therefore, I'll just fuck around with people's balls. They don't need them. They're in prison.
That's
But
probably
yeah,
what he thought.
that's probably, yeah. I mean, he seemed to be completely buying into his own bullshit. But even though he's not a surgeon, he seemed to think he was the best surgeon. So that's a problem. Unchecked ego, and just like all these accolades went to his head. So yeah, I'm happy to give this horrible, awful human being who has like typical early 20th century name and 90. What was his name again?
Dr. Leonidas Stanley.
Oh
like
yeah,
the tape measure.
That's it. Yeah, and that's the most like 1900s name. Leonidas Stanley. Dr. Stanley, I presume. Different one, similar catastrophic results. Dr. Stanley's an awful human being. He's from the same part of the world as I am, the famous saying. And yeah, he had a penchant for murdering African people. Well, he's like, I'll shoot them. No one's going to know.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And now he's like, there's a statue of him in a part of North Wales. So yeah, not going there. But yeah, that's really quite horrible. Someone who didn't know, well, I mean, they must have known at some level, but kind of bought their own bullshit to the point where they became delusional and thought they were helping when actually they were doing significant harm. And the stuff about tuberculosis, yes, that was good, but you kind of, it's one of those things where somebody would have done that eventually. So I'm not giving him any credit for that because someone else would have done it.
Yeah. Well, and you would think he learned all that he could about it and did things. He had to have learned it from somebody, right?
Well,
he didn't learn it through experimentation.
Yeah, it's not like Julia Charles going to the French school of coloring. Oh, you've got to chop a load of onions. All right, I'll go away and chop some onions and then I'll flambe this. Blah, blah, blah. But no, he's like, how has he learned this? Has he read textbooks? Has he read theories? Has he read the newspaper?
Has to be. Know.
The fact that he believes in eugenics is a problem, because if that's like the basis of your belief in medicine, then basically your entire belief system is founded on a lie. Mm-hmm. So you build from that foundation, everyone around you is kind of fucked. Really.
Kind of.
Yeah. So moving on from one weird, delusional motherfucker to one of the most notorious cyclists of all time, not bikers, cyclists. You know, the skinny guys that cycle up and down the mountains in France. One of those guys. I'd like to introduce you to Riccardo Riccò, who is basically, and this is going to give the game away a little bit, but you know, it's a cyclist. He's on a podcast about idiots. You kind of know where this is going, right? You know, we talk about, oh, this powerlifter is an idiot. You kind of know where that's going. This sprinter is an idiot. You know where that's going. You know what's involved in those sports that usually leads to those people falling afoul of, you know, their kind of body. So Riccardo Riccò, the Italian Lance Armstrong.
Did he have both of his nuts?
Oh, he did. Yes. Okay. Although they may have shrunk, and we'll get to that a little bit later as well. Yes. Your doctor guy would have loved this fella. I swear to God. Riccardo Riccò was born in Formigine. I've loads of Italian words coming, and I'm going to do better each time, I swear. Formigine on the 1st of September, 1983. I really struggled, actually, to find anything about this guy's early life. I should also point out, sorry, before we get going, I just want to check. So my former colleague at Inside the Ropes, Peter, and I just want to make sure, because it's just his last name's like totally gone from my head. Peter Barnes recommended this guy to me, and when he told me why he recommended him, because I was like, oh, it's a cyclist, he's an idiot, there's going to be EPO involved. That's it. Like that's it with cyclists. They're practically fucking cycling down the hill with needles in their arms. There's that much drugs in cycling. So it's one of the dirtiest sports in the world, but it's still kind of fascinating for that and the politics alone, and also Lance Armstrong's like reign of terror basically on the sport for like 10, 15 years. So I really struggled to find anything out about this guy, but thank you, Peter Barnes, for suggesting him. I'm just going to assume that his early life was like any typical Italian upbringing. So he started smoking at 11, driving like a lunatic at 13, and like just voting every single day for Silvio Berlusconi until the horrible old bastard died 13 days ago. So that's what I assume most Italians do, because that guy kept getting elected, even though he was like awful and a bit of a fascist. And
Isn't
maybe,
that strange?
Yeah. I know. And also may have had a banker killed in London who we covered.
Oh, yeah.
That guy. Silvio Berlusconi was part of that Masonic lodge that whole dodgy dealings with the government and the police and judges and money going missing. And this guy stole a bunch of money from them. And then lo and behold, he's found hanging under Blackfriars Bridge in central London in the early 80s. So that's a previous episode. Go and check that one out. But yeah, Silvio Berlusconi was part of that Masonic lodge.
Good times.
Not saying
that was some powerful people.
Some incredibly powerful people. You wouldn't believe it. Anyway, so I can't find anything out about his early life. If there's anyone out there that can fill me in, please do. But I'll take you to his breakthrough in cycling, which happened during the 2007 Tirreno Adriatico, when he won 2 consecutive stages and the points classification. I guess that means like because you've got to enter, you've got to win, like you've got to be at a certain ranking to get points, I guess. So
is it like NASCAR? I have no idea how cycling works at all.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, it is like that kind of like a season in a you know, like the Tour de France is like a series of legs, essentially. So you do like 20 miles a day or something. I don't know how far it is, but like your ranking, your position in that leg, you get certain points, and then a couple of days later at the next leg, you get certain points for that, and then at the end, the person who's leading the way has the yellow jersey, and then at the end when they've won, they get the yellow jersey. It's basically like that in cycling, and then of course there's like one-off races. I don't know enough about cycling to be able to give you a full rundown. I really wish we could have had Peter on this. He'd have explained it much better, because he had
I just
a cycling
learned a ton
podcast
right now.
I know, yeah. It's essentially, yeah. So NASCAR is a good analogy. Another one I would have gone with is Formula One. So you'll have like 30, 40, 50 cars, whatever it might be, but only like the first 10 or 11 will get any fucking points for finishing. Everyone else behind that gets like fuck all, basically, other than sponsorship money. So, and obviously points mean prizes. The higher you go with your points, the more you're likely to win. So he actually made his breakthrough in 2007 in the Tirreno Adriatico. As I mentioned, he won 2 consecutive stages and the points classification. So he got points for winning those 2 stages.
Good stuff. Are the points are like the tickets at the skee ball, right?
Yeah, and you hand them in. You get a big fluffy toy or something like that. Awesome. Yeah. He also won a stage and finished second in the Settimana Internazionale di Coppi e Bartali. Wow.
Well done, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean that summer in Florence really helped me out right there when I was 17. I got dysentery, but it was worth it because it's beautiful around there. He then finished 9th in the Amstel Gold Race and 6th in the La Flèche Wallonne, which is a French race, in his first ever appearance in the Ardennes Classics. Ardennes Classic, I guess that's a French race.
Okay.
He rode the Giro d'Italia as a domestique of team leader Gilberto Simoni, and in the process he took the 15th stage at the Tre Cime di Lavaredo ahead of his teammate Leonardo Pipoli. That's a
cool
name.
One.
Yeah, it is. Leonardo Pipoli. He would finish 6th overall, 7 minutes behind eventual winner Danilo Di Luca. In the season finale of the Giro di Lombardia, which is a region in Italy, like northern Italy, right on the border. That's where the Lombards come from, the name. He finished 2nd after losing a 2-man sprint with Damiano Cunego. In 2008, Riccò rode the Giro d'Italia as a team leader and impressed in the mountains, taking 2 stage victories, the young rider's classification, and was 2nd overall in the general classification, 1 minute 57 seconds behind eventual winner Alberto Contado, which is like, 1 minute 57 seconds. That's so much Italian. 1 minute 57 seconds might as well be a fucking lifetime in cycling. That's like a long time, really. But yeah, he's starting to do it. He's entered in as a young cyclist. So he was 83, 2007. So he would have been in his mid-20s at this point. So he's still, becoming seasoned, but he's starting to climb. Like, he's getting better each year in these like Italian races.
And some French ones.
And some French ones. Cycling is a big deal in Italy. I can't stress to you enough how many times I'd be driving up and down the roads to get to like Lucca or San Gimignano, and we'd see like a massive pack of guys in the cycling gear, and not just like one or two. I'm talking like 60 guys, just like all formed up, and they're really into it, and they're cycling up these massive mountains in the Florence Hills and stuff. So,
dude, there's some places like that here. Where they're big like that, and then there's like a big one up by where my dad lives in Iowa.
Oh yeah,
they shut down like towns and stuff through there. My dad hates cyclists as a truck driver. He's like, dude.
I mean, I kind of do too. I kind of don't like them, but like I respect the sport, and I feel like, particularly with like when you spend any time in a country like Italy or Spain, and you become infused with the culture, you kind of get it. Like, you get why people are super passionate about football or cycling, or like why they like bread and cheese for breakfast and stuff. You're like, oh, this just makes sense while I'm here. No wonder these people are so happy and chilled out.
I've never traveled. I wouldn't know.
Oh man,
it's like I go to California.
That's traveling, man. That's good. I haven't been to California. I've done the East Coast. I haven't done California.
They're just like here, but different.
Yeah, well, yeah. A little less dry, maybe. I don't know. Probably Death Valley's quite dry. So yeah, I would highly recommend, if anyone's thinking of going on holiday to Italy, I would definitely recommend it. It's obviously a little bit more expensive than I was there, 30 odd years ago. But the pace of life is so very different. Everyone's so very laid back. The coffee's excellent. The ice cream is excellent. The pasta is just like, you never have bad food in Italy. It's always excellent. So
see, my wife wants to go to Venice, and I agree.
Venice is a great place. It's expensive, mind you, and it's slowly disappearing. So Venice is a good one. I liked Florence because I got to see, the Duomo and the Ponte Vecchio and Michelangelo's David. And when you see this fucking thing up close in person, you're like, that is absolute perfection. I've seen two perfect things in my life that, were created by humans. I've seen Michelangelo's David, and it's just like anatomically perfect and huge. This fucking statue is massive. And you're like, how did a man 500 years ago get this so perfect when, carving people up was illegal and considered heresy? But also, I've seen the Magna Carta up close in a vacuum sealed chamber with very low light and temperature controlled, and you look at the writing and you're like, that is incredible. It's like it's laser printed, and that again is 1,000 years old or approaching that. So
making me jealous, man.
I know.
I printed out this stuff to figure out how to get a passport so I can think about maybe someday trying to apply and then maybe going somewhere eventually.
Oh yeah, honestly, I was so lucky to be able to travel like in my late teens, early 20s. I did basically all of Europe. I did a bunch of islands. I did the East Coast of America. I was incredibly lucky, and I had to stop because I had to actually earn money. But I would have carried on going to like, the Scandinavian part of Europe. I would have gone to Japan. I would have gone to North Africa. I probably would have gone to Asia. I would have loved to have done more, but I couldn't afford to anymore. I had to get a job.
Maybe someday we'll go tour all of it and talk to people from a stage and visit all those places.
Yes. If we can do a world tour, man, could you imagine? Oh, fuck yes. Let's get that going. Anyway, so back to my story. Now, we've talked about holidays enough. So in 2008, Riccò rode the Giro Italia. Oh, yeah, I've covered that part. It was suspected that Riccò's performances were not clean. Surprise, surprise. It's cycling. No one's fucking clean. Doping expert Michel Audran has stated that Sera, capital C, capital E, capital R, capital A, I'm assuming it's a drug, was in use by some riders in the 2008 Giro. Sera, oh, here we go, here's a note here. Sierra is the supposedly untraceable third-generation EPO used by Riccò in the Tour de France weeks later.
Oh, isn't that how Michael Cera spells his name?
It is exactly how Michael Cera spells his name.
Is
Michael
he a performance
Cera,
enhancer?
untraceable third-generation drug. Michael Cera. It was also in Black Mirror recently. That was random.
Oh, dude, this season's amazing. We'll talk about that later.
It's really good. Yeah, we can talk about that another time. I love the first 2 episodes. Oh my god. So he's now using this untraceable drug, and that's the thing with untraceable drugs. They're only untraceable until you give it like 3 months, and then they learn how to trace them.
Yeah.
So like the dark web, they find you eventually. On 10th of July 2008, Riccò won stage 6 of the Tour de France with a hilltop finish at the Super Besse, giving him his first Tour de France stage win. There were, however, some rumors saying that the test results revealed abnormalities in his blood levels. To be honest, you need to be more clear with that. You can say abnormalities. There's probably abnormalities in everyone's blood. My blood's basically Chinese food and Vimto at this point in my life. So,
yeah. I mean, I had high white blood cell count for ever, and they were like, "You got cancer? Nope, you don't have cancer. Okay, well, I guess you just run high."
Yeah, and also I had a similar thing. I had a really low was it vitamin D? I had a vitamin D deficiency and iron issues because of the Crohn's thing, because I was constantly losing blood in the early days of that. That was no fun. So yeah, I feel like, also, please, doctors, if you are listening to this, don't tell your patient over the fucking phone that they have abnormalities with something. Just fucking tell them what's wrong with them. Don't tell them they have an abnormality and they have to come in. That drive to the hospital is one of the most nerve-wracking moments of their entire life. Just be straight up and say, look, you need to come in. We need to talk about this. There is a big problem. You need to prepare yourself for it. Don't say, there's abnormalities. Please come in. We'll have a chat. Be fucking straight with people, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Screw the bedside manner. Tell them that they need to be concerned and that you will help them.
And don't screw around if they don't need to be concerned and make them get worried the whole time when it's nothing. You
leave their testicles and ears alone, for God's sake.
Oh, yeah, that too.
That's it. On the 10th of July 2000, no, we've just covered that. Okay. The team and the athlete claimed that there were no doping issues. They always say that, though, don't they?
Of course not.
Of course not. Lance is completely clean. He's a hero. Look, he survived cancer. How dare you question him, strange Irish journalist who's writing another book. However, since Riccò claims to have a naturally high hematocrit level, I'm starting to suspect he might have a naturally high bullshit level at this point. Like, oh yeah, that thing that everyone fails for, I've just got a lot of it. That's all
different.
It is. Yeah, different. He reportedly has a UCI certificate attesting to an hematocrit of 51%, 50% being considered the acceptable upper limit since 1997. 3 days later, he achieved his second win at stage 9 of the Tour de France with a breakaway climb of the Col d'Aspin. Look, we've got to talk about the Col d'Aspin. So it's the original Aspin, not.
I thought you said the cold ass spin.
The cold ass spin, yeah, that happens after the race. I mean, we've got to talk about this. It's basically a lot of people in professional sports claim injuries or whatever to get hold of performance enhancing drugs. It's the same way that athletes, like 75% of athletes in some reports, in sports that require incredible accuracy and focus, are on prescription beta blockers. So I'm sure these top level athletes have all got heart disease. That's why they have to take massive amounts of beta blockers to slow their heart rates to like 50 beats a minute so that they can take their shot between heartbeats so they don't break their concentration.
Yeah, it could have something to do with that one football player who just had his heart stop in the middle of a game last year.
That has been happening a lot over the last few years. Like, I know that. So there's a current Man United player called. Oh, I can't remember his name. Anyway, he also had a similar thing with his heart. A bunch of players. Marc-Antoine Fortuné, I think, died on a football pitch. And the thing is, football is an incredibly highly aerobic sport. for like 90 minutes of just constant running. So, there is going to be issues there, but it just seems like in the last 30 years, the amount of people that have started having heart attacks on the football pitch is a lot higher than it was before. And the game itself has not changed length or intensity, really. I mean, maybe you could say it has. I don't think it has. But, it's starting to make me suspicious that there's other reasons, to be honest.
Yeah, you got to kind of wonder. And no, it's not from the vaccines.
It's not from the vaccines. But it's definitely something involving it, because they have really high level testing now. So the fact that these people still have heart attacks is concerning, at the very least, to me. Okay. Anyway, on July the 17th, 2008, Riccò tested positive for the banned blood booster. Let's say that 3 times fast. Continuous. Oh, here we go. Oh, this is going to be a tough one. Continuous erythropoiesis. I was doing better with the Italian. Receptor activator, or SERA, a variant of EPO.
Okay.
It was a variant of EPO. From a sample taken following the 4th stage, making him the 3rd rider to test positive for this substance in 2008 Tour de France alone, after Moises Duenas of Borla World and Manuel Beltran of Liquigas. Okay, that's the
Liquid gas?
Liquid gas, yeah, that's what he was injecting. He was immediately ejected from the tour, and his team, Sonia Duval, withdrew of their own volition. Sonia Duval announced the next day that the team manager Mauro Gianetti had lost faith in Riccò and that he had been fired from the team. Riccò spent the night at a police station and was indicted on charges of use of a poisonous substance. Well, I mean, it is. I know. He denied the charges and told RAI Television, "I'm very bitter. I spent a night in a police station, and it was like being in a prison." Yeah, that's the fucking point, you idiot.
I spent the night in jail, and it was like fucking jail, man.
It was like jail. They put me in jail, and I felt like I was a criminal. Oh, my God. The magistrate listened to what I had to say. They searched my bags, but only found some vitamins that we all use, so they decided to let me go. Well, congratulations. You weren't stupid enough to carry drugs in your fucking handbag. What an absolute achievement. He must be not guilty, despite the failed drugs test. You don't have needles in your bag. You're free to go, sir. They sent me to jail. It was like being in jail. That's not fair. That's such a great line. The prosecutor, Antoine Leroy, testified that medical supplies, including syringes and equipment for intravenous drips, were found in his hotel room.
Ugh. He was just banana bagging because he gets dehydrated.
That's all it is. But they were unused. According to AFP, the prosecutor said that in the first searches there were no doping substances as such found. I mean, yeah, but if you find like mirrors, razor blades, small empty plastic bags, droplets of blood on the table, and a bunch of credit cards with traces of what looks like a white substance on them, then you've either found someone doing cocaine or you've traveled back in time and found yourself in Aerosmith's dressing room in the 1980s. That's one of two things going on here. Yes, there's no cocaine there, but you've got all of the stuff that goes into having a good time with it.
Yeah. It's, it walks like a duck, it talks like a duck, but it's a goose. Don't worry about it. It's
fine. Don't worry. There's no duck. It's just a bunch of random quacking going on outside. It was later revealed that Riccò had admitted to had attempted to escape I've read this now. I read it before. I'm having trouble getting it out because it's so stupid. It was later revealed that Riccò had attempted to escape doping control officials after the stage 4 of the tour, but had been caught in traffic.
On the bike?
This is what I think. Was he still in his cycling gear and he's pedaling away like crazy through the fucking busy streets?
I wonder. I mean, you kind of stand out.
You would, especially if you're wearing a yellow jersey at the time. There's an action sequence in here. that they were definitely missing. There's like one guy cycling crazy, like he's definitely on drugs, like cycling crazy fast through the French streets, and just a bunch of police cars chasing him with one guy leaning out the window with a bullhorn going, "Stop and give me your blood, you skinny weirdo." As a result of this, officials decided that he was to be tested at every stage. That's, man, I don't know if you've ever had a blood test. Having one of those every day after you, especially after you've cycled like 20 fucking miles, that'll do you in.
I feel like your veins would collapse. You'd be all bruised up.
Yeah, you'd have nothing left. You'd be a proper junkie at that point. It was also revealed that the Sarah's manufacturer, Roche Pharmaceuticals, has secretly worked closely with the World Anti-Doping Agency to develop a test for the drug. And this was how Riccò had been caught. The suppliers were secretly undercover feds. Man,
they always are.
Yeah, working both sides of the war on that fucking thing. My God.
I don't think I'm trusting Roche Pharmaceuticals for fucking anything.
No, I'm not either. Like
Roche?
I know. I have significant issues with pharmaceutical companies, especially when they're developing drugs that really only designed for one thing, and then they're providing people with the ways to catch them. It feels a bit fucking dodgy.
Yeah.
Really. Anyway, in the week following the race, Riccò admitted to the Italian National Olympic Committee, man, you don't fuck with those guys, that independent of the team, sure, he had been taking EPO in preparation for the 2008 Tour de France, and he accepted responsibility for his actions and apologized to his teammates and fans. So after the whole, they treated me like a criminal, why was I in prison? He's now like, yeah, I did it. Sorry. I am sorry. Riccò told the Italian newspaper La Repubblica that it was the banned doping doctor Carlo Santucion. I don't know. That's an Italian word.
Close
I can't
enough.
get around. I'll do. Who supplied the new form of EPO. Well, you know, I mean, it's good that he's owning up and like grassing everyone up, I guess. Following Riccò's admission of guilt in the affair, his advisors had hoped that he'd get a 20-month ban. But on the 2nd of October 2008, he was handed a 2-year ban by the Italian International Olympic Committee. Yeah, which Riccò found disappointing.
What do you think? I mean,
it's only 4 more months than what he was expecting anyway. So, like, kind of fucking difference. I mean, maybe it takes him out the Tour de France for that year. I don't know, but
like, you still did it, dummy.
Yeah. That would be disappointing. I'm very disappointed and bitter. I mean, he keeps saying he's bitter. This man. Yeah, he sounds really bitter. I expected better understanding, but I made a mistake, and it's fair that I pay better understanding.
Yeah, well, I know you were cheating, but you know, it's okay.
I thought they'd be on my side. You know, who hasn't gone to a club on the weekend? And just like met your friends there, they're all drinking, everyone's snorting some EPO. You know, it's just part of the party scene.
Oh yeah.
So what the fuck? Lighten up, man! Jesus, everyone's doing EPO. Haven't you heard about it?
What is EPO again?
It's blood doping.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I can't remember how exactly it works, but you take like healthier blood, like from when you're not knackered. I don't know if I'm getting this completely wrong. Someone will tell me that if I am. You take non-knackered blood, and then you store it. And then when you're knackered further down the road, you take your more oxygenated blood and put it back in your system so that you recover quicker. And then you got better blood in your system, basically. So it's weird, but it's all they do in cycling. It's just like, hey man, do you want to swap IVs? Like,
they're shooting blood.
No, it's so fucking weird. It's like just a sequences. It's just a bunch of vampires on a bike, basically. However, on the 17th of March 2009, the Court of Arbitration for Sport reduced the ban to 20 months because of his cooperation. He resumed racing on March 2010 on the Ceramico Flaminia team. Riccò also faced criminal prosecutions in both Italy and France for the doping affair. He was convicted by a criminal court in Padua and given a fine of €3,040 in June 2010. That's not that bad, really, as far as fines go.
I've had fines bigger than that.
Yeah, I think I was threatened with a fine. Like, you haven't done any tax returns. Like, yeah, I'm not self-employed. I'm PAYE. Like, oh yeah, we'll send you a refund for last year. I'm still waiting on that shit. So Riccò, 3,040 euros. Riccò was handed a 2-year suspended sentence by Toulouse court, which was upheld on appeal in November 2011. Man. In August 2010, Riccò terminated his own contract with Ceramica Flaminia and signed a 2-year contract with Dutch Vakansolil. Solil?
Good Lord.
This is Dutch.
I'm so glad I didn't do this guy. I would have been screwed.
So many languages here, and I can barely read the English. He's not very loyal either, really. These people stuck by him after he was banned, or like signed him after he was banned, and then he cancelled the contract. That's not good. Anyway, now that we've done the whole blood doping thing, let's get to the really crazy shit, shall we? Because this guy is not just your straight up Lance Armstrong. Yes, I was doing performance enhancing drugs. This guy is batshit crazy. On the 6th of February 2011, strap yourself in for this one. The 6th of February 2011, Riccò was admitted to a hospital in critical condition with sepsis and kidney failure, allegedly due to a blood transfusion he performed on himself with 25-day-old blood. Riccò, Bella Bambino, what the fuck are you doing? Riccò admitted to the doctor treating him that he had performed the transfusion in the presence of his girlfriend, Vania Rossi. Man, this guy just loves to fucking grass everyone up. Jesus. The doctor reported this information to authorities, leading to an investigation being opened against the professional cyclist by the police and the Italian Olympic Committee. They're fucking coming for blood this time. Although they can't because he's used it all and given himself sepsis.
I didn't know you could. I don't know how transfusions work, but I thought that it would be a little bit more difficult than just do it at home in front of your girlfriend like you're cutting your own hair or some shit.
I know. I feel like it was probably improperly stored because you've got to be like, there's because obviously blood's stored for a while and there's certain conditions you've got to meet when you're storing it to make sure that it doesn't go bad, like milk. But yeah, like, what the fuck, dude? You've given yourself sepsis and kidney failure. Riccò was released from hospital 2 weeks later and was subsequently sacked by the team he just joined. He later denied blood doping, but also stated that he was finished with the sport and that he wanted to train to become a barista.
What?
I'm going to make coffee art.
That's a shift.
I know.
Shifted gears.
She really did. I mean, I've got to be honest. Again, this is an Italian thing. The culture around coffee is a bit different. It's not like I've just finished college. Where's hiring? Starbucks. Okay. No unionization. I'm fucked. You know, it's not like that. It's an actual. I mean, you're not going to make shitloads of money as a barista, but at least it's like you're talking to people and you're part of a culture of a town and stuff, you know. So.
A passion, profession.
Yeah. Maybe he's opening his own place.
Yeah,
you know,
part
maybe
of the community.
His own coffee emporium. Yeah, that totally works. Like I could be part of that. Opening your own coffee shop, that's fine. But he later changed his mind. And said that he would indeed like to race again. So coffee art bores me. Everyone wants a fucking leaf or a heart. I want to cycle with needles in my arm again. In October 2011, it was reported that Riccò confessed to the blood transfusion to Coney, although his lawyer later denied these reports. I mean, he's got to be consistent with this. He definitely, I've got to be honest, he's not going to lie to the Italian Olympic Committee. These people are really fucking powerful. So I believe that. Really.
So he admitted to it to them, but then now he's like, nah, I didn't.
His lawyer's like, nah, what the fuck are you talking about? That is bullshit. You didn't believe everything you hear from like sources. God. On the 19th of April 2012, Italian's National Anti-Doping Court, TNA, not tits and ass, Tribunal Nazionale Anti-Doping, banned Riccò from any professional cycling activity for 12 years.
Ooh. That's a big man.
Done, mate.
And how old is he at that time?
He's like approaching 30.
Yeah, you're done. You're retired now, sir.
No one's coming back to high level cycling in their like early 40s.
No, I don't.
That's an aerobic
senior
sport.
Tour.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a young man sport right there. Like no one other than Lance Armstrong, who came back in his 30s. Like no one's really performing at the highest level once they hit 40, really, and that kind of stuff.
Did just kind of come up with an idea of something that I'd like to see, though.
What's that?
If we get a bunch of geriatric people to play football,
oh yeah,
think of the entertainment value of those broken hips.
That would be hilarious.
Okay,
we're talking about this. It's kind of dark. No, that's fine. It's fine. Hey, there's like senior tours in football, and a lot of them are in their like 60s and stuff, and late 60s. Some of these people are high level athletes still.
No, I mean,
you mean like octogenarians?
Well, yes, but I also mean American football where they tackle each other and run into, or rugby.
That's dark. Yeah, rugby. Yeah, could you imagine 90-year-olds playing rugby? And you know what they probably do? I had a similar conversation with this in with my colleagues last week when we had our like weekly catch up, and we were like, oh, someone said, oh, they're releasing a new version of Love Island, only it's for retirees. And I was like, what, like 80-year-olds? And they're like, no, people who are just like 65, like not. I was like, could you imagine an octogenarian Love Island? The residents have fallen asleep again. You have to leave the house, and it's a slow walk. The slowest fucking walk around the chairs, around the pool, going to the exit. Just holding on this one shot for like 15 fucking minutes. We're delaying the news because Cliff has to leave the house now. So, yeah, just octogenarian Love Island.
Sorry, I get you so off path sometimes.
It's fine. The path is lovely this way. It's very enriched. So yeah, back to this guy. So he's done 12-year suspension, effectively ending his career. Riccò appealed to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. The CAS upheld the ban. Let's be honest, it's kind of for the best because this guy's gonna kill himself eventually. He's a fucking idiot.
Dude, at-home blood transfusions to just try and stay in the game. Yeah.
Don't do it, man.
He should retire.
Yeah, totally. And like he's in his, 2012, 2011. So he was born. So he's 28, 29. He's not old. So what the fuck are you doing playing with that shit when you're in your late 20s? You've got like another good 5-6 years at the top level left. Just stop doing at-home injections. At least get a crooked doctor to do it for you. Jesus.
Yeah, like a vet or something.
Yeah, like a dodgy vet, like a mob vet or something. On the 1st of May 2014, Riccò... sorry, I should point out, this isn't the end of it. This gets even weirder. Super weird. Like,
okay, so he's banned and then...
banned for 12 years, and it gets worse. So much worse. On the 1st of May... May Day 2014, Riccò was accused of purchasing EPO and testosterone after being caught by Italian police in the car park of a McDonald's restaurant in Livorno.
Why?
Riccò
he's just later on it now.
Well, this is the question I'm going to have. Like, EPO, give me that blood. Riccò later claimed to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and his lawyers.
That's
how
everyone just happened to be EPO there, and you happen to have issues with it in the past.
His lawyer stated that he was not in the car park to purchase EPO. Listen, I heard that the McRib was back, okay, and I just raced down there, and I'm in the car park. I'm chowing into this McRib, and there's just all these kids in the car park doing EPO. You know, it's the new thing. It's like either helium or EPO. Like, you know, so that's just wrong place, wrong time, man. You know, get off my back just because I've got a history. God. The thing is, and like you said, your mind went to the first place my mind did with that. I was like, is he really just hooked on EPO and steroids at this point? Like, can you be addicted to it? I mean, I guess you can, but my theory was he's out of cycling, right? He's banned from cycling.
Right.
Doesn't mean he can't buy for other people.
Oh, he's a middleman now.
I mean, what else would he be doing? And you can't be booked on like replacing your fucking blood. Surely that's not a thing.
I don't know. I don't know what I didn't know it was a thing. I mean, I knew like cyclists all did performance enhancing stuff, but I didn't know that it was like, here, shoot some other blood.
Yeah.
Type stuff. That's just weird.
I know. It's so disturbing.
Not any weirder than grafting on testicles.
No, we've had a very weird medical episode. A lot of blood and testicles and ears and nose stuff. But yeah, also I think probably the Italians would be more angry that Like, yes, you've been banned for life. Yes, you've been caught doing drugs in a car park, but McDonald's, really, with the amazing food you have available to you in our country, you go for the McRib.
Race to this.
What is wrong with you? Life in prison. Also, he's 5'8" and 130 pounds. Like, this guy is a waif of a man.
Yeah.
And he's doing steroids. His nuts must be like raisins at this point. Like,
if he has any, it's just the sack anymore.
Yeah, and also sitting on that seat. Like,
I couldn't do it.
No, man, your fucking prostate would get examined every single day. It'd be too much. But unbelievably, there's even more stupidity with this guy. This is from an article I got online, and also the way they introduce him is hilarious. Italian gelati maker Riccardo Riccò has come out against the COVID-19 vaccine in a recent social media post. I can see your head dipping. The irony is just thick, isn't it? It's so funny.
Shoot old blood, but heaven forbid I do anything to stop a virus from spreading.
I'll shoot old blood in front of my girlfriend at home and in a McDonald's car park while I'm scoffing down fries, but no, don't give me a world-tested vaccine. My God. Riccò was one of the most prominent and brazen dopers in cycling's recent history, made the surprising remarks in a Facebook post, because of course he did, no longer publicly visible, because of course it's not, in which he outlined his new no needles policy. I have read many people that say that the vaccine must be obligatory. Are we joking? I do not. I do what I want with my body, no matter how stupid and career destroying. I added that last part myself.
Okay. It sounded like something he would have said, though.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, yeah. Nobody can make me do something that if it were to have a negative effect on my body, I would be the only one that would lose. That's a weird. I mean, it's probably translated from Italian, but
I get what he's saying, though.
Yeah, you were on a fucking hospital table, dying of sepsis, you fucking idiot. So you can inject. You can't inject. You can get injected with who knows what shit too, but don't fuck over people like me. that have been well informed by doctor friends and that are not going to take a damn vaccine. Over and out. This is how he finishes that post.
He's like Ryan Seacrest.
Yes, Seacrest out. I love that he thinks he's well informed, despite the masses of documentation we've got proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that he's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, but my doctor friend and this guy on Facebook said,
I know a doctor, and the doctor's not sure. He's a doctor. He's not a fucking immunologist or a vaccine. But like, he's just a doctor. Did has
you
Facebook
say he was
too.
A gelati?
Yeah, a gelati maker. We'll get to that now. He's gone from coffee to ice cream. In the years since his lifetime ban, he has shown some signs of repentance, calling himself a talented little bully. I mean, that's like, I'm a bully, but man, I'm talented. You know, like, fuck you. And an idiot who threw away money and a career. I mean, that part's accurate.
Facts.
That introspection eventually led to a successful career as a gelati maker. If a child says my ice cream is good, I'm happy. Well, that's, I mean, fine. Which is a satisfying redemption arc for one of the most flagrant dopers of this century, who spent years doing things that had a negative effect on his body, injecting himself with who knows what shit, is now firmly opposed to a legitimate vaccine to a global pandemic that has killed a couple of million people. I mean,
maybe he's scared of needles now. He's afraid if he gets sticked one more time, he's going to slip and go back to shooting blood.
I mean, that's a very, like, the fear of needles is a real thing. Like, I have had so many blood tests in my life because of like various health issues over the years. And like, I get a vasovagal syncopic reaction to every single blood test I get. So I have to numb my arm with like actual numbing cream, because if that is the second I feel that needle go in, I faint and I'm done.
It's the whole reason Theranos existed.
Exactly. Because people hate getting fucking blood tests. But this guy, it's just like, it's not even a needles thing at this point. It's like, it's almost like he's saying it because he thinks he's got someone's attention and he wants to keep it for as long as possible. Like Michael Scott in The Office or some shit like that. So
see, I just figured maybe he's just throwing a fit.
Pretty much.
Like, tell me what to do.
They want to inject us with all this poison and 5G and all this other bullshit. Honest to God. And, you know, I mean, this is the end of the story as far as I can tell. Like, he hasn't done anything too stupid since. But really, who's going to listen to him at this point? Because anything he does is kind of insane or bullshit or stupid or like, yeah. I mean, I really got into this. It was a good recommendation from Peter Barnes. Thank you so much for recommending Riccardo Riccò. Really stupid guy. What do you think of Riccardo Riccò?
Well, I think that his career path was absolutely insane, and I have no idea what cycling has to do with baristaing or gelato making.
No, but hey, those are two very Italian careers right there, you know?
Yeah, and dude, he blew his career up.
He did. Like, he was in cycling for like 4 years, really, at the top level. It's nothing.
He gets extra idiot points for injecting himself with spoiled blood.
Like, what the fuck, dude?
Home transfusions.
Check the cap. If the cap can't be pressed down, then it's bad, you know?
Right? Yeah. It's been tampered with.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, he blew up his career and he did it really quick. And then somehow he was hooked on it and then flipped to saying, I can do this, but I'm not going to do that because this is for other people and this one helped me. And that's what it really comes down to.
Yeah.
But,
gosh. It's so weird. I mean, the thing is, again, we have to start with our criteria. He didn't kill anyone. Like, he nearly killed himself. But, but he didn't kill anyone. It's just like, this is a guy. It's funny. There's a quote by former sprinter Michael Johnson, American sprinter.
Yeah.
He said that when Ben Johnson, the other Johnson, Ben Johnson, the Canadian sprinter who was caught with the steroid scandal thing, he said that when Ben Johnson was caught, this is an interview on Michael Johnson, he said, we didn't say shame on you for cheating. We laughed at him because he got caught. And like, there it is right there. You know, a lot of high-level athletes are cheating in some formal manner, whether it's like suspicious substances in baseball players' hair or like some cyclist with like the blood of, I don't know, like a fucking mountain goat or something pumping around their system. But there's always something that's suspicious. And even like there was a thing in football where people in soccer, sorry, I should say, people started wearing nose plugs to kind of open up their airways and like started ripping holes in their socks because they thought it gave them better circulation in their legs. And there's always like some sort of way of juicing the system, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, if you're not cheating, you're not trying, you know? I mean,
I'd love to find like, because a lot of people have retired from various athletic competitions and like, you never know. Like, they've retired. There's never been any whiff of scandal around them or any suggestion that they've cheated. But I would be willing to bet that a fair few of the highest level professional athletes have at some point twisted the rules at least. But this guy went above and beyond that. He took blood doping and steroid use to a whole new level other than Lance Armstrong levels, basically.
I'm just excited that now that there's some sort of validity to a cabal of people using the blood to rejuvenate themselves.
Oh my God, the Republicans were right. They were just in the wrong pizza shop. That's all.
It was the cycle shop next door.
It was. It wasn't the imaginary basement in the imaginary Washington pizza joint. It was the cycling shop next door.
Huffygate.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, sorry, I'm gonna wander off here before I give the score because the submersible.
Oh yeah, the submarine thing.
While we're on the subject of gates, who in the hell names their thing Ocean Gate?
Yeah,
and then doesn't think that there's going to be problems eventually.
I know.
That's asking for trouble.
It really is, and also like that thing, like. I feel like I've seen suppositories bigger than that submarine, to be honest with you. You know, there were what, 5 people in that fucking thing?
Yeah, and they'd all paid me in that.
Oh, sorry. Nah. I mean, I guess we don't have enough money to be that stupid. But, True. You know, if I had 250 grand going spare, I wouldn't pay some janky ass looking submarine to take me down to the Titanic. I'd just like, maybe I get in a zero gravity thing and get the buzz out that way, you know, or go laser tag for a while, you know, something safe.
Or a beach vacation. Yeah,
you know, buy another house. What the fuck, you know? Jesus.
Sorry, I wandered off. I
no,
get
that's fine.
excited
I
about
want to talk about that too.
Huffygate. So I'm gonna go like traditional idiot. Poisoned himself with his own blood, got hooked on the EPO smack at the McDonald's there, and blew up a career so early on that it almost seems like he didn't have one.
Pretty much, yeah. It was over in a flash.
I'm gonna go 82 for him.
Oh, that was a nice score. Yeah.
What was his name again?
Riccardo Riccò. So it's quite memorable, quite a memorable name. We've had Riccardo Riccò, and who is your guy?
Dr. Leonidas Stanley. I like saying that second part because it's
Dr. Leonidas Stanley. It sounds like a name from, like, what's that trashy soap opera in the States, The Days of Our Lives or something?
Oh, I was just thinking the 300. Leonidas.
Yeah,
you know?
that works. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that works. Yeah, totally. Yeah, he's Leonidas. He's descended from Greek monarchs. Wow. So yeah, Riccardo Riccò gets an 82, and Dr. Leonidas Stanley. Thank you. Gets a solid 90 for being like crazy bollocks obsessed. But yeah, that's a really interesting one because we've both had like kind of people who I sense that there's a delusional element going on in both of these things where he was like, I can get away with doping, or the other guy was like, I'm so well renowned, I can't do any wrong, when he was clearly doing an awful lot of wrong, but it was at a time when nobody held anyone to account. So
he thought he was doing good and nobody knew any better. Could you imagine living in a world where just because you didn't know any better, it was okay to do something bad?
It's kind of crazy. Yeah. And where that was like a reasonable excuse. Yeah. Like that's really kind of crazy. So it's kind of amazing that, you know, these things happened, but I guess Riccardo Riccò, you know, he's doing some good now. Like he's kind of maybe found his sense of purpose and he's repented a little bit and been contrite. But yeah, I think that's kind of for the best really with this guy.
And he's part of the community, being a good ice cream man. I mean, gelato maker.
And I can tell you from experience, having been a young man and spent a summer working in an ice cream shop, good ice cream, man, that's the absolute best thing. Although by the end of the summer, I was so sick of ice cream, I ended up eating the saltiest fucking food I could find to get rid of that taste.
It's funny that we went around with ice cream because I was thinking about getting one of those soft serve machines for the house, and I wonder why I'm a fat guy.
Actually, you know what? You see, whenever we go out for a walk at this time of year, there's inevitably an ice cream van around, and they do like the soft serve stuff. And my wife is, I usually suggest it. It's normally there. She was heartbroken when we went back on holiday to North Wales, and we went to a beach for a walk. She's like, "Oh, there's an ice cream van." I was like, "Yeah, well, we're about to start the walk. You don't get ice cream at the start of the walk, you do it at the end, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, okay, let's go." We came back like 5 hours later and it was gone. She was heartbroken. I know.
But she'd have been sticky otherwise, though.
She would have been sticky. Thankfully, I was driving. But yeah, maybe if I could get a soft serve ice cream thing for the house, that would be kind of amazing.
There you go, Cuisinart. Sponsor the show and give me a soft serve machine.
That's it. Soft serve. Sponsor us, please. we will eat it live on air. No problems whatsoever.
Oh, dude, yeah, I'll shill away for somebody. I look like I'm doing it for Red Bull now, but this is actually a baseball hat.
That's it. Yeah, that's they're a team sponsor. Are they? They own a team there? Yeah.
No, this is Mountain View Toros, where my son played. But it does look exactly like the little Red Bull guy there.
It really does, doesn't it? Like different angle on the bull, though. But yeah, totally. Yeah. Man. So yeah, thank you so much to our listeners, everyone who's tuned in. Thank you so much again to our amazing Patreon, Jesse Christ. Thank you so much for joining us. and signing up. We will send you a bunch more Patreon stuff in the coming weeks and days. Stay with us. You're our only one. And if you would like to join Jesse, then go to patreon.com/history's greatest idiots. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, go to @greatestidiots. And on Instagram, we are @history's greatest idiots. What was I going to say? There was something I forgot.
I was going to say, if you're one of the folks that likes to educate me further on our videos about all of the things that I was wrong about,
yes,
you're my favorite.
Yeah, we love you. Leave those YouTube comments.
I'll give you extra bonus points if you put your money where your mouth is and support me doing better research.
Yeah, if you want to help us do better research, help us make this a full-time gig. You know, there's only so many hours in the day when you are married and have another full-time job, and we both have extra side hustles. So, like, yeah, we can't do all of the research. Come in and work for us. We won't pay you anything. So, yeah, I think that's the members of the Church of Satan who are helping you out with that one.
I thought I was nice to them too. I said that I agree with them more than most stuff, but he was just kind of a shyster and kind of did something for attention.
I mean, we like you guys. You know, you guys are really good church. You know, you're super liberal. You've been helping a lot of people. Just your founder's kind of a dick. That's the reality of the thing, I'm afraid. So, yeah, that doesn't mean that you're bad. I mean, God, I don't think that every Scientologist is, you know, L. Ron Hubbard. I mean, a lot of them are weird, but, you know, I don't think all of them are. Some of them are probably really nice. I bet Beck's a great guy.
Some of them are just Tom Cruise.
Some of them are just Tom Cruise, kind of crazy. So we love you, Tom. Keep making those Mission Impossible films, even when you're in your 70s. It won't be weird. So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Obviously, if you want to view these, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcast. You can listen to them there, and Spotify has the capacity for you to watch video podcasts now, so go and check that out. That's where we get the majority of our statistics from, if they eventually let us back in. Get your shit together, Spotify. And also, you can find all of our episodes on YouTube. If you want to go and check us out, just search for History's Greatest Idiots, and you will find all of our videos in sparkling 720p on YouTube. That's my camera's resolution. Any lighter than that, and you'd see all of the fucking horrible wrinkles on my face. So yeah, man, I've got a 1080p camera just sitting here doing nothing because it makes me look old.
This one's 1080p, but I don't know if it is doing anything. I don't know.
You look healthy. I look very, very different without this amazing camera, which has like the best built-in filter I've ever seen in my life. So yeah, thank you so much to everyone. This episode will be coming out pretty much now. Like, I'll be putting this out tonight, and we will see you again in a couple of weeks. Derek, would you like to say goodbye, please?
Goodbye, everyone.
Take care, and we will see you again soon.